I have done several tier lists. I've talked about some of the guns, and I honestly would love to go through and talk about each gun individually, their strengths, weaknesses, so on. But I just want to talk about the game now. I tried to get in contact with the guy or people, I don't know if it's one or multiple, that balance the game. Because I am seriously concerned about how the game balance is being handled. I'd also like to talk to the guy that designs the maps, because I would like to talk with them. Now, I'm not saying talk as in I just want to insult them. I'm saying I want to have an actual discussion with them, get some insight to how they balance things. Because every story has, or every story has two sides, and I want to hear theirs. I want to know what do they think of when they balance guns. Because if you look at the gun balance now, you'd probably be able to question them a lot. I'm going to try and keep this video professional and not make it into a rant, but to talk about the issues, how to fix them, and what to do in the future. So I'm going to get started. First off, I want to talk about the guns. There's a lot of guns in the game, and I'll give an overview of each one and talk about some cases that I very much think need to be changed. First off, let's mention the assault rifles. It's the largest class of gun in the game right now. I don't know why the developers have such a hard on for the assault rifles, but alright, that's not a big issue. The problem is how they balance them. How I think they should be balanced. Now, this is personal opinion. This can you take this with a grain of salt. I personally feel assault rifles should be the most rounded of all the gun classes. They don't hit too hard. They don't hit too soft. They're good up close and long range. They're good at everything. Like you can do everything with them. But they're not going to be better than the specialist guns. It's like you can use them up close and they'll be effective, but they shouldn't be a replacement for the shotgun. But most of the assault rifles are fairly balanced. You can counter them, you can play around them, and they're not too bad. Most of them I actually enjoy running. I would say assault rifle is probably my second favorite class in the game. The problem starts coming in when you look at something like the FAMAS. The FAMAS right now is probably the best gun in the game. If you understand how it functions, how the recoil works, if you understand the gun in the game, then it's a very powerful weapon. It shoots quickly, hits hard, is extremely accurate. Like, if you're 200 meters out from someone, you can still full auto kill them. And then it can tap fire pretty good too. Its hip fire is something that you can't really be mad about. Like, it's a good hip fire. It's just too good at everything. And there have been some gun nerfs on the PTS or CTE, I refer to as the PTS. There have been nerfs that make no sense. Like, for a while, the SR3M had its grips removed. The L85, while it was supposed to be a nerf, apparently got a buff. But they haven't touched the FAMAS. Well, they kind of have. The FAMAS is broken for some reason. I don't know. I can't explain it. But they haven't nerfed it at all. I like something like the L85A2. It is a lot better on the PTS right now, but I like it. It's on live client on the main game. I run it with a green laser, a Mars, compensator, and folding grip. It's a insanely good ADS gun, but you're not going to hit anything if you hip fire. So while this gun is probably the most accurate gun of the assault rifles, in my opinion, it has one of the worst hip fires of all the assault rifles. And the G11, if you play on the PTS, you're gonna notice the G11. Yes, I don't know what they're doing either. The only two good things I can say about the G11 is it has the highest burst fire in the game at 2,100 rounds a minute, and the highest magazine capacity of all the assault rifles at 45 rounds per magazine. That's the only good thing you can say about it. When you don't have kills on it and you don't have any attachments, it has probably one of the worst iron sights in the game. It has this really weird scope that is way more difficult than it should be to use. I would rather have the AN-94 iron sights, because at least then I can kind of hit something. But once you get beyond that, the gun has the lowest automatic fire rate in the game at 450 rounds a minute. I can arguably shoot a real gun faster than that. That's a very low fire rate. And you think that'd be okay if it would have a good damage. It doesn't. Its max damage, if I remember correctly, is 24. And its minimum damage is 14. Of course, I could be wrong, but it is under 30 maximum and under 20 minimum. It is one of the worst assault rifles in the game right now. Some people think the M231 is a terrible assault rifle. While it is trash at long range, it's amazing up close. The M231 makes the G11 at long range look like the M231 is the most overpowered gun. It's really sad to see the G11 be such a terrible weapon. Also, I don't really want to blame anyone, but for some reason the G36K, when it first came out onto PTS, had a aiming move speed of 10.4. Your normal move speed is 14. That's walking. That's not sprinting. If you just hold down W with the G36K, you move 14. Before its nerf, when you aimed, you would move 10.4. That's a lot more powerful than you think it is. That was faster than pistols. It did get nerfed, though. I just assume it was a mistake. I'm not going to blame anyone. It happens. Just wanted to point it out. As far as battle rifles go, it's basically the Scar H is the best one. It's really, there's just two, so it's not a big deal. I don't know why we don't have more battle rifles. Like, I would love to see the FAL. I would love to see more World War II guns. We have the M1911 and the Mosin. Why don't we have the M1 Garand, the M1 Carbine? I would love to see a Thompson. And it's like, I would just love that. And with the Thompson, you could have like 2 unique attachments. You could have that wooden grip on it. You could have that 50-round drum magazine. It would be a very unique weapon because it would have 2 unique attachments. And they've been playing around with extended magazines on PTS, and honestly, I'm glad to see it because we finally have a reason to not run the green laser. Going on to carbines, most of them are pretty good. I like them. They're not too overpowered. They're not too weak. I would say good job. Now the shotguns got nerfed. Now, I agree with some of it, and I think the rest was a bad idea. I agree that the headshot multiplier needed to be toned down. I don't know if it's a bug or something, but slugs on PTS still one hit to the head at any health. I don't know if that's a glitch or not. It shouldn't be one-shotting because it should have a 1.1 multiplier. Even at 72 max, which is what slugs are, at least for the Remington, that is not an insta-kill. That is about 75 damage at most. That's pushing it too. The KSG is the same way. I like that change. I, however, don't think the minimum damage needed to go down to 8. They are absolutely worthless beyond about 50 meters. Now, I see what they're trying to do. They want to make shotguns to be that close quarters monster that they are. But I think shotguns should have a chance at long range. Just a chance. I'm not saying they should be powerful or completely viable, but if I'm taking a shot in the dark and just hoping for a kill, I would like to have a chance. But either way, that's the way it is. It's not like it's going to completely destroy the shotguns. You're just going to have to play a little differently. The PDWs, most of them are fairly balanced. I, however, see them as being one of the most problematic areas, though. All the MP5s are bad. They're just not as good as the others, and I'm talking from live. I don't know how they are in the PTS right now, but in the main game, they're just not as good as the other SMGs. The P90 is still god tier. Like, with a few attachments on the PTS, you just dominate everything with it. Like, literally a laser, a compensator, and an EOTech, and you just kill everyone. The UMP, for some reason, has a... I don't know if it's a glitch or not, but its iron sights do not go away when you put an optic on it, meaning the majority of optics for the UMP are not useful. Moving on to DMRs, they're all problematic. The MK11 is way too accurate. No attachments. You can put a bullet in the same hole from like 500 meters without a problem. It's just too accurate without attachments. The SKS is just a faster firing MK11. It's better up close, not as good at long range. I still feel it's a little too strong. The SSR is hands down the most overpowered DMR. It's just too good. It's literally a semi-automatic sniper rifle. The SVU is basically just the downgraded version of the SSR. Both of them need to be changed. I want to see the SVU go from a poor man's sniper to a proper DMR. It has too much recoil to be a DMR, and it's just a cheap sniper rifle is all it is. It's just the poor man's sniper. And the VSS is a joke. Like, it fires what I call 9mm rifle. I've always heard it referred to as 9mm rifle rounds. And it's internally suppressed. So why does it have almost the same recoil that the SVU has? I'm not kidding. If I have such problems running the VSS because of its stupidly high recoil. It does not need that much recoil. I want to see it changed. I wanted to see it being the lowest level DMR that you can get. It doesn't hit hard. It doesn't have a lot of recoil, but it's something to help new players get into the game. It's not going to be viable on a high level, but with this many guns, the overwhelming majority of them are not going to be viable. So I would like to see the VSS be a low-level DMR. Make the MK11 a much higher-level DMR, and put the VSS so it can be changed. It can do a lot less damage, and it can still be useful somewhat because it does have that full auto capability. I think 2520 is a good damage model, and giving it next to no recoil would be very suitable for the gun. I think that would make it where the VSS is really good. And it makes it fun for new players that need a little bit of help to get started. I hanged on to DMRs a little too long, but let's move on. Let's get on to machine guns. Arguably the second most overpowered class of guns in the game. There is only one machine gun that I would think about being discussed that is balanced. The others, you cannot convince me they are balanced. Sure, they move really slowly, and that is a downside. They hit super hard. They have that absolutely retarded suppression effect that needs to be removed, honestly. They mess with your hearing because they have that distinct bullet effect, that they have that crack effect that can mess with your hearing. I'm not talking like damaging your hearing. I'm talking about it's just noise that drowns out other things. And they go through walls. Most of them do. It's like there's not one of them that I consider balanced. And I would argue that the Colt LMG is overpowered. It's the closest to being balanced, in my opinion, but I honestly would love to see the machine guns just outright removed and redesigned. I want to see them as a support weapon, not a weapon that makes you a one-man army. I am not kidding. I run the MG36. I can fight 10 people by myself on Metro and hold the hill. It is not hard to use them. They are not skillful. You just hold down the trigger and then almost no one can kill you. Snipers are the same way. They take no skill to use. That's what I'm going to go a little bit deeper into. So, if you play Phantom Forces, you're bound to hear, oh, snipers take skill. They don't. What's the argument that they do? Oh, you have to hit a headshot to get an insta-kill. If you're playing against noobs, yes, you do. If you're playing against people that actually know what they're doing, they are never at 100 HP. If you're a good player, and you'll know when you're a good player, you are never at 100 hit points. I spend most of my game at or lower than 75 health. There are times where I will run under 50 health for most of my life, just because that's the way it works. There is not a very quick regeneration effect on your health. So you're not going to go from, oh, I'm at like 20 health, a few seconds later I'm up to full. It's going to take a long time. And I generally will be under 100 health. So you don't have to hit a headshot to kill someone. If you hit them in the chest or even the legs, you're going to get a kill. It's like, if you're one of those people that think snipers are balanced, then you're just plain wrong. They are not difficult to use. I run them a lot. I have over 500 kills on all of them. The Intervention is the only sniper rifle that I don't have over 1,000 kills on. Like, I don't find them enjoyable. They're not fun to fight against. They just need to be nerfed. It's like, if I wanted to go into detail on how to change them, we'd probably be here for an hour or two. So I'm going to move on. Pistols are generally balanced in Phantom Forces. I mostly like them. I really wish there was more revolvers. And no, the Deagle 44 and Deagle 50 are not revolvers. I don't know why you put them under the revolver tab, but they are not revolvers. They are handguns, like the M9. They fire a really big bullet, but they're just like the M9. Speaking of the M9 is the most overpowered handgun in the game right now. While the G18, Tech 9, and M93R will beat it in a pure DPS battle, the M9 is so well-rounded that it will just, over time, do better than any of the other handguns. Sure, the Rex can one-hit up close. The Deagle 50 can one-hit from a fair distance. The Tech 9 shoots extremely quickly. The G18 is a pretty good handgun. The problem is, while the Tech 9 kills really quickly up close, and the Rex does too, the M9 can kill you from 400 plus meters away without a problem. And if you know how to use it, it will beat primary weapons consistently. You can do it with any handgun, depending on the skill. But in general, the M9 is a very trustworthy handgun because you can just use it as a primary if you have to. I kind of like the Suribu. I use it from time to time, but the Obrez needs to be nerfed hard. Same thing with the other snipers. I don't know why the balance team thinks a sniper rifle in the secondary slot is balanced. It does have some random spread on it, which can make it more frustrating to use than anything when you have actually good aim and you don't need luck. It just is not fun to go up against. It's like you can completely outplay someone, flank them, you're about to kill them, and then they turn around. It's like, oh, you're dead now because I hit a lucky shot with the Obrez. And there's lucky shots where they'll turn around and kill me because I'm at no health, but it's like, I'm at no health. I'm not surprised. Or maybe they'll get like a wreck shot, and I'm okay with it. I'm a little salty, sure, but I'm generally okay with it. Because while sure it was a lucky shot, maybe it was aimed, but most likely luck. I know, okay, he's using the Rex. That means he's not going to be able to do anything at long range with it. And if I'm careful, I'll beat it. Or with the Obrez, if I'm not at 60-something health or 70-something health, oh, it shot me in the chest. Well, I'm dead now. Or it shot me in the head. It's like, I'm dead anyway. It's just not balanced at all. Let's talk about maps. Sorry about the quality of the two of these. They're really small, and I couldn't find bigger ones. Zavod is the first one. I personally would like playing on Zavod if it got changed. On the PTS, it did get changed a little. A little, not a lot. I will say, good job on the Underground. I really like that change. It really changes how the dynamic of that small little corridor. You won't think it changes a lot, but it can change a whole lot of the game. And I do like the redesign of it. I will give you like an A+ for that. As I said, the Underground is really good. It did get a change. It's no longer that dark corridor that noobs can shoot the lightouts in and then just camp there all game. It's now properly lit up. It's a lot more tactical. I kind of wish they give a little bit more cover A side, because if you're sitting on C and it's flare domination, you have just this clear shot at anyone leaving A from through the corridor, because they have no cover while you have boxes to hide behind. I also want to see roof access removed. This map just sucks because of the roofs. The roofs take no skill to utilize. It's like it's so easy to head glitch on them. And if you're on the ground, there's nothing you can do. It goes from having a fun match to now it's just all about roofs and noobs using snipers. That's all it is. There are very few times that I'll have rounds where people are fighting on the ground, where I have times where I'll outplay a player or two on the ground, or they'll outplay me, and it's way more fun that way. Like, it just needs more cover, and it needs roof access removed. Or it needs a way to making it where you have to expose yourself on the roof to be able to do anything. It's like, I don't think I've talked about it before, but there are counters to things. It's like some guns counter other guns, and it's more common with positioning. How do you counter someone that's on the roof? You either go up on that roof, go up on the other roof, be a noob and use a sniper rifle, or land a grenade up there. Now, if you're on the main game, landing a grenade up there is not that difficult. The grenades are actually good. If you're on the PTS, the grenades are insanely weak now. I don't know why they got nerfed. They will hit from 50-something meters away, but you have to land them like within 5 meters of someone to actually kill them. I don't understand. Grenades make no sense, and I think they need to be reverted. But there's just no counters that are super useful for Zavod. It's like you can't easily get up on the roofs. Like if someone's on A side, you have one way to get up on C side. Or you can go up on A side and they can ladder camp. In the PTS, it did get changed a little. If I remember, C side is unchanged, I think. But A side does have an extra ladder to go up. So it kind of got a little change, but not enough. The next map, Crane Site. This is another map that I think needs to be temporarily removed. What's wrong with it? Same as Zavod. There is no cover. None. They tried to fix this in the PTS. I will say, you disappoint me, developers. Because the cover you've added is practically worthless. There have been a few times in small servers that I will utilize that cover properly. But in bigger servers, it just doesn't matter. Like, it literally just does not matter at all. You're dead anyway. There's just literally nowhere that you can just take a moment to stop. If you stop, it's like, oh, look, some noob sniped you from halfway across the map. Because there's just nowhere to hide. It's like Desert Storm is a pretty good example. Another thing about it, I don't have a picture for Desert Storm. That was the one map that I forgot about. Either way, Desert Storm is a really good map because there's lots of places that you can take cover in. It's like you have plenty of little hiding spaces. A lot of them are terrible camping spots, but they give you a moment to stop, breathe, regenerate your health, reload your gun. It's like Desert Storm is a really good map in my opinion. It has its downsides, but I generally like it as far as like team deathmatch goes. But for Crane, it's just a horrid map for King of the Hill. Flare domination can be a little entertaining every now and then, depending on server size and who you're going up against. And TDM is just basically shoot noobs off the crane. That's all I ever do on TDM. Or land a grenade up on one of the roofs of the buildings. I'm going to talk about Desert Storm now. I really like it. It's my favorite map. As far as TDM goes, I generally enjoy it. There are a lot of spots where noobs will go to use snipers at, but most of them you can get to in a variety of ways. Like, for example, there's that 2-story building up on the plateau. Some of you will know what I'm talking about. It's the one that has the wooden bridge going out the window. That one. I like that one. Because you can either go across that bridge and shoot at someone there. You can go up the stairs and shoot someone there. You go up a ladder. You go up on that 2-story building behind them and shoot them there. It's like there's several ways to counter them. It's like that 2-story building that's just across the bridge. The one that noob snipers sit in all the time. That one. That one is not as good, but it has counters. It's like I can land a grenade in there. I can stand at the right angle and I can shoot you while you're looking out the window. I can go up the stairs to kill you. I can go up that back ladder to get to you. That little flat area that has that small railing outside. There's a ladder I can go up to get on there. I can go through the building to get you. I can land a grenade there. There's several ways to assault the position. There are ways to counter that too, which I very much enjoy. There's that 2-story building, way, 3-story, excuse me, way in the back that noobs will sit in all the time on King of the Hill. While that is probably the hardest one to assault, it is assaultable. There are several positions around the hill that you can shoot at them from. You just go up into the building itself. I think you can get in the building another way by using the terrain around it in a special fashion. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I believe you can do it. King of the Hill is generally crap on that map because it's just either you can pretty much solo defend the thing with the way it's positioned, or everyone on the enemy team is going to camp there and your team is going to be too stupid to bust the defense to get in, and you're just going to lose that way. King of the Hill is just a terrible mode in general. Moving on to Crane Site V2. I think crane access needs to be removed, as with Crane Site V1. It adds nothing to the game. Only noobs with snipers go up there. Like, you will rarely see like a good player go there. Like, if they have skill and you should actually watch out for them, they're not going to be up there. It's like they're going to be on the ground with probably an assault rifle or a PDW or something. But otherwise, the map is generally okay. It's not the worst one. I think it's all right. It's like, as far as TDM goes, it's just noobs climbing the crane with snipers, like Crane Site V1. Flare Domination is generally an okay game mode. It's like the way the flares are, honestly, is probably the best of all the maps. Because if you spawn on B side, you can either go for the B flare, you can rush over to the C flare, or you can go to the A flare. It's like each team has their flare that they will capture. It's like, this is the one you typically would go for. Then you have the one that you'll fight for, which is the A flare. So one in the office building. That one's typically fought over, or at least that's the way it should be design-wise. But there's also strategies where you can rush the opponent's flare. While this has varying success, it is a strategy, and it's very interesting because you might be able to stop them. Another thing is, if you know how to throw grenades, at least on the main game right now, you can land a grenade on the opponent's flare and kill everyone there. I've done it once or twice. It's not the easiest thing to pull off, but it's doable, and it's pretty cool when you do it. It also makes the enemies pretty mad. As far as King of the Hill goes, it's not the greatest because you'll typically be shot at by some noob on the crane with a sniper rifle. I think we're seeing a pattern. There is some cover around the hill, which is alright. But it's just not the greatest map for King of the Hill. There's really none of the maps that I have played King of the Hill on, and I think that is a good idea. Moving on to Highway. I really couldn't find any other screenshot for this, so I guess you'll just have to deal with, I guess, an artistic render of it. I don't know the term. I generally enjoy Highway. Generally. It's an alright map when there isn't noobs everywhere that run sniper rifles. Big shock, right? This map used to be the worst map in the game earlier on in Phantom Force's lifetime. Now it feels a lot more fun. There's not too many problem areas. I think the boundaries of the map need to be reined in dramatically. I think that for all the maps. You should not be able to go like 500 meters off, almost off the map, and it's like, oh, cool. Now you can only kill me if you have a sniper rifle. Of course, you can do it with any gun if you know what you're doing. As far as TDM goes on the map, it's a mixed bag. Sometimes I'll have fun and I'll get lots of close quarters fighting. Sometimes I'll go to the parking garage and I may hold a spot there. I may go into what I like to call the science building, the multi-story building that snipers sit on top of all the time. Not the one with all the glass, but the one that's above. I want to say A site for CTF. As far as CTF goes, it's also a mixed bag. It's generally decent if both teams are not. If there's not a big skill disparity between the teams, it's generally a fun game mode. As far as King of the Hill goes, it's just grenade spam the game mode. That's literally all it is. It's not fun at all. There's no fun maps that King of the Hill you can enjoy on. At least I don't. I really don't think Highway needs to be changed all that much besides the map boundaries. I generally think it's a decent map the way it is, and I don't think it needs too many changes. I think some cover needs to be added. It's like I love to have more cover in this game in general. As it just makes it more for accuracy. It just rewards aiming more rather than just like I won because I have a gun that never runs out of ammo and just can shoot forever because it's a machine gun. Skillful. Moving on to Mall. I couldn't find a different screenshot. It was surprisingly difficult to find one here. This is old, by the way. This is the old Mall construction. The new one has a lot more objects on it. So the layout is the same. There's a hell of a lot more cover. Now, to talk about Mall, it's generally a love-hate relationship. I have times where I'll really enjoy it, depending on the mode and how it plays out. And there'll be times that I really just hate the map and think that it needs to be removed. I would love a redesign of it because there's a lot of problems with the map. Some of the biggest problems is everyone goes to the roof. Everyone. Not kidding. It's not fun. You can see C site where this screenshot was taken. Yeah, snipers can just sit there and you'll never take C site. I mean, if they're trash, you can just run around with a knife and they'll miss you. But that's like all the snipers ever. That's the only reason I use a sniper, because they're trash. But in general, I think the roof needs to be redesigned to be more entertaining. I would love to see like the very top of the roof access removed, so sniping isn't as prevalent in this map. That way you have to be a little bit more strategic. I would love to see the railing part be removed, so if you're trying to shoot at someone that's at C, they can also shoot back and probably kill you. As far as King of the Hill goes, this is the worst fucking map for King of the Hill. It's like the others, you can play it. You can do it. On this, let's hope that the enemy isn't looking down at from one of the fucking like half dozen positions they can go to. It's like there's too many spots. You literally cannot check them all. There is some cover that you can use. It's not enough. It's too easy to defend the site. And when that fails, you can literally just spam grenades on it and no one will get to it. Of course, that's true for all the all the hills. As far as TDM goes, that can be a good or a bad game mode. I generally can enjoy it if people are in the building for close range gunfights. And CTF on the PTS can be a little bit more enjoyable because there's one capture point on each of the floors. And it does really change the dynamic. May not be the best map for CTF. It is the most interesting. As looking at it from two pro teams fighting rather than just a bunch of randoms, it's a very interesting idea with what they did. But that's all the maps. I'm not going to talk about the space map because that's not in rotation anymore. This was mostly just what I wanted to talk about Phantom Forces. What I think of the guns, the maps, the game modes. I really can't think of much else to talk about. I generally enjoy the game. I find it fun to play at times. It can be frustrating to play at times. But I hope that I can, at some point, get in contact with the developers. I would love to get to talk with the person who makes the maps and who decides balance on the guns. I would love to talk to them. I really do. And I'm not in the sense that I'm just going to insult them or anything. I do want to have a legitimate discussion, see how they do it, and have a actual conversation with them about the game. So not much more to say right now. That's basically everything. So hopefully some people will see this and maybe it'll change their minds. Maybe it'll bring up some very good discussions. Either way, that's going to be the video. I plan to make a tier list whenever the main game gets updated. Whenever that is. So I'll see you guys later.